Are you struggling to find the mojo to get out and exercise again after you've experienced trauma? Maybe you're like me, that you've come out of an abusive marriage with a narcissist and really want to lose weight, get fit, and just keep struggling. Well, did you know there's actually a scientific reason why it feels so hard to exercise after we've experienced trauma? Hi everybody, massive welcome to Trauma and Narcissism Redefined, your podcast, hopefully helping you give some light, some hope to maybe the experiences that you are going through, and of course some education and understanding. Because as you all know, I have experienced my own trauma. I was married to a covert narcissist for 12 years. We were together just over 14, and I didn't even realize I was in an abusive relationship. It was only when I came out and I was literally suffering with PTSD, or complex PTSD as we now know, depression, anxiety, self-harm, panic attacks. And I thought it was me. I thought I was weak. I thought I was stupid. I didn't realize I'd been in an abusive relationship and was literally a shell of myself. So I know what it's like to come from the depths, the darkness, and feel like life is going downhill. You know, I was in my late 30s when I got my divorce, and I literally remember sitting there thinking, that's it, my life is over. He's had the best years of my life now. And I genuinely thought that at like 37, 38 years old. And I'm 50 now, and I have to say, I feel more vibrant, I feel more connected than I ever have. But one of the things that I really struggled with, and even now, it's still something that I clearly have to work on, because if you listen to my internal family systems podcast a couple of weeks ago, because IFS literally changed my life, and IFS looks at protector parts that we have within us. Emotional eating has always been a really strong protector part for me. And it's one I still have to work with now. You know, healing isn't this magical destination. It is an ongoing journey. And coupled with my emotional eating part, and obviously the trauma from my past, exercise was really something that I struggled with. I was either all in and almost obsessive, or I did nothing. So I've ran half marathons and I've, done all of those things. And actually, when I was younger, I played quite high level sport with tennis and netball. I'm tall, I'm 5'11". So they were great sports for me. But it was something when I came out of my marriage, of course, I felt fat, disgusting, ugly, because that was my interpretation of why my ex had been cheating on me. But actually, I needed to be softer and kinder to myself. But every time I kept trying to go to the gym or do some exercise, I really struggled. And I thought it was me being lazy and weak. And it isn't. And this is what I want to share in this podcast, that maybe you are trying to exercise. You want to get fitter and healthier, because that's always a good thing, regardless of what that type of movement or exercise is. That might just be going for a long walk, for instance. I think sometimes even the word exercise is a little bit triggering, isn't it? But I really struggled. I'd go to the gym, and sometimes I wouldn't even make it in the gym. I don't know whether you can relate to this. I'd be in the car park in the gym, and I'd almost be having this internal conversation with myself about, come on, Caroline, you need to go in, you need to get fitter and healthier, you need to do this, you've got children, you want to live a long life. And I'd have this whole conversation with myself. Excuse me. I'd have this whole conversation with myself, and then sometimes I'd drive away. I don't know whether you can relate to that. Like literally, I'd probably spend 20 minutes sat in my car in the car park. I could have been walking on a treadmill, but I wasn't. I was sat in the car arguing with myself about going in, not going in, going in, not going in. But there is a scientific reason why this happens. So let me explain how we operate as human beings when we are in these trauma responses. So our brain and body is driven by survival. Sadly, it's not driven by success and happiness and wealth. We have to be intentional with that. Overriding everything else is survival. So whenever your brain, mind, and body feel like there is danger or the potential of danger, you will have protector parts come up for you to look out for you, and your nervous system will start to shift gear into a fight, flight, or a freeze response. desperately trying to protect you from feeling pain. Now, very often for human beings, when we're not in any actual danger, that's very often emotional pain. So wherever you are right now, whatever situation you find yourself in, that is because your brain, mind, and body thinks it's the safest and the least painful. Now, that might seem odd to some of you because you could be living in really deep emotional pain. But let me tell you, your brain, mind, and body still think it's looking after you, and it's still the least pain than the potential of what your inner system thinks could be. The key to all of this is the curiosity around that. Why does my brain, mind, and body think if I did this or if I did that, it would be more painful to me? Because very often that's taking us back to childhood experiences that have been filed away in our inner system and got stuck. They haven't been time-stamped and processed and integrated so we can move on. So that's why so many of us are walking around with these adult bodies driven by these inner children that are carrying deep pain from interpretation of parents or peers or siblings or friends or caregivers from our childhood. So if we go back to thinking about exercise, so our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, is really at the heart of our lived experiences. So when we feel something and we feel that activation in our body, maybe a faster heart rate, clammy, tingly hands, the disconnect in our body, that's our autonomic nervous system working for us. So our autonomic nervous system is almost like a traffic light system. So I call this the traffic lights of tolerance when I teach this in my programs. So the green light is really where we want to be in our autonomic nervous system. Green light is what we call ventral vagal. I know I'm giving you some science words here. It's ventral vagal. It's part of our vagus nerve. And it's when we feel grounded. So think green for grounded. We're in go. We can live our lives. We feel present. We feel safe. We feel connected. It's our social engagement system. However, the moment we perceive any threat or danger, and that could be real or imagined from our past experiences, our autonomic nervous system will shift into maybe the yellow light, which is part of our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight-flight response. So we will start to flood our body with cortisol from our adrenal glands, which sit on top of our kidneys, and that will all go to our extremities. So we're feeling buzzed. We're feeling ready to fight or to run away. So think about that wild animal maybe being chased by a predator. We're ready to react. That doesn't mean we're actually going to fight or actually going to run away. That could manifest as human beings as things like anger or anxiety. If we still perceive threat and danger, we're going to shift again into the red light. And the red light is like stop, freeze, what we call the science term dorsal vagal. We're in kind of a shutdown. Everything then goes to pull to protect our major organs. So all of that cortisol rush that we might have had in our extremities if we were in fight and flight, suddenly we're just protecting our major organs. So the energy that we had in our extremities is no longer there. Now, if you think about this from a predatory perspective, when we feel in like death danger, we want to get really, really small. We want to get small and we're protecting those major organs. When we're in freeze, when we're in fight, flight, we're bigger. We want to fight. We want to run away. We're really, really flooded with energy because the cortisol is there. Now, if you think about this from an exercise perspective, so let's say you are stuck in a freeze response. Now, many people I see are stuck in what we call functional freeze. So they're in the red light of their nervous system in dorsal vagal, and they're in a freeze, disconnected with feelings, numbed out, living, going through their life, but it's an existence. They're not embracing and the connection and truly living in what they should be living in. They're stuck in this freeze response. So to the outside world, it looks like, well, they're functioning. They're going about their daily business. And this was me for decades. But actually, you're totally disconnected because your whole body from previous experiences is so in protection mode to look out for you that you're literally in this perpetual freeze response, meaning everything is about protecting the major organs, and any effort to do anything feels like a struggle because we don't have the energy in our extremities. We're stuck in a freeze. So we don't have that lots of cortisol, our sympathetic kicking in to give us that energy to do anything. Which means when we start to go to the gym, if we've been stuck in a freeze response for a long, long period of time, so we've just been protecting our major organs, and we want to kick in some sympathetic energy, because you can have good sympathetic and bad sympathetic as such. I mean, neither are bad because they're still protecting you anyway, but just looking at it like this, the good sympathetic could be when we just need energy to do things, and the bad sympathetic is the fight-flight element where it's related to survival and stress responses. If we've been so used to being stuck in a freeze response and playing small, when we start to go to the gym and we start pounding away or doing things and we're activating our sympathetic nervous system to give us some energy, our whole system is like, no, that means we're going to get bigger. And if we get bigger, that means people are going to see us and we could get attacked. They could be mean. They could be bully us. They could abuse us. And this was certainly me thinking about my ex-husband who was a narcissist, stuck in freeze, going to the gym, activating my sympathetic. My inner system was like, no, you need to stay small because otherwise your ex-husband's going to keep on abusing you. Get small again. Look out, freeze, danger, danger, danger. So the problem being is, because I'd been stuck in freeze, my inner system thought with cortisol production and engaging my sympathetic that this meant I was kind of coming out, getting ready to fight flight, as opposed to engaging my sympathetic to exercise. Because my system had been so stuck in protection mode for so long. So how do we get out of that then? So a couple of things that you can start to think about doing, and this really is the go slow. And I know it's not what many of you will want to hear, because we want to not feel how we do yesterday. We live in a society where we want these quick results. I hear you. But you know what? When we're dealing with trauma, we do have to slow down to speed up. Think of it like a tap. I call it the trauma tap. If you're doing one drop at a time, eventually you're going to be able to turn the tap on and it's going to flow freely. If you turn that tap on too quickly, you are going to flood your nervous system and you'll actually shut down even more, and it will make it even harder in the long run to start to exercise again. So when you're stuck in these literal freeze responses, go slow. So if you start going to the gym, maybe just walk on the treadmill. Just start to gently bring some sympathetic in so your nervous system can start to realize, oh, okay, this is okay. You know, this isn't suddenly going from freeze into a fight flight. We're kind of gently starting to engage our nervous system, because we do need our sympathetic nervous system to do things. So what we want to do is just gently start to engage our sympathetic, and it might be walking for a couple of weeks, getting used to that, maybe doing some weights, maybe doing some things like I love doing reformer Pilates now. I absolutely love reformer Pilates, because that can be a bit of a cardio, but it's also stretching and it's about flexibility too. So it's kind of finding things that are going to work for your inner system as well. But going from nothing to pounding in the gym, don't be surprised if your system goes into shutdown and you might do 1, 2, 3 sessions and all of a sudden you'll literally be laid out. You might even get ill because your inner system is saying, no, this is even more dangerous. You need to stay small. So it's not you being lazy, okay? This is a natural biological response to your system, as it always is trying to do, to try and protect you. I'd love to know, can you relate to this? This was totally me when I came out of my relationship with my ex-husband. I so wanted to get fit and healthy and kind of like, I'll show you. And every time I kept going into the gym, I was shutting down. I did, however, at some point go to the extreme then, where I was ultra fit as such, and it became an obsession. That's not healthy either. That was then another protector part coming up to maintain how I was looking then at that point. So we always have to find that balance. We have to find those balances in our system and work with it and understand it. And I really hope that this has helped you understand maybe why, if you're struggling to exercise and you're thinking you're lazy, or you're thinking what's wrong with you, or you just can't do it because you feel tired all the time, that's because you're in a functional freeze. It's because your system has been in shutdown for so long. So you just need to go slow, really just keep stretching the nervous system, because all of a sudden that nervous system will become more flexible and you're able to do more things that maybe you wouldn't have been able to do a month ago or 2 months ago. So just go slow, and you will get there if you do that. So I hope this was really helpful to you in understanding. Come and let me know. Come and send me a message over on Instagram. Send me a message maybe on Facebook. Make sure you come and join, my free groups that I have to help and support you. And of course, if you listened to my podcast last week, my new book is out, How to Heal After Narcissistic Abuse. It's going crazy. It's been #1 in the hot new releases in Amazon. And if you want to pre-order it, it's out on the 16th of July. If you want to pre-order it, we'll pop the link in the show notes for you, because I'm gifting all of you who purchase before the 16th of July my Healing Codependency program. And that really does help take you from self-hate to self-love. I can relate to that one. Don't know whether you can, but I'm gifting you that. So do please come and order that. I do want to bring narcissism more into mainstream. So the more we can get up those charts, the more we can get this on bestseller lists, the more we have to start talking about it. People can't turn away. They have to. So I would really appreciate your support. And of course, it's the healing Bible I wish I had when I came out of my relationship. So take care. I hope that was really helpful to you around exercise. Just know that however you are, whatever you are doing, that is your system trying to keep you safe. Whilst, if you look objectively, you might think, well, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. It's your system trying to keep you safe. What we need to do is get curious about, why does your system want to keep you safe like this and not let you move into that, where potentially it would be a more thriving and flourishing life, but it's always protecting you. So take care, my friends, and I'll see you on the next episode of Trauma and Narcissism Redefined.